Salutations, distinguished viewers. I am Six Path Weeb, and I extend a cordial welcome to this channel, an imaginative domain where narrative boundaries dissolve and alternate destinies are meticulously explored. Today's discourse ventures into a compelling hypothetical. What if Hashirama were reborn as Naruko and consciously embraced the path of darkness? This re-envisioned storyline examines the philosophical dichotomy between innate virtue and circumstantial corruption, unraveling how identity, legacy, and choice intertwine within a radically altered fate. Before we proceed, a brief disclaimer: the content presented here is intended solely for entertainment and thoughtful discussion. I do not possess ownership of any anime footage utilized. All rights and acknowledgements belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without further ado, let us commence this narrative exploration. The village hidden in the leaves, known as Konohagakure, was a peaceful and lively place, often admired as the strongest among the 5 great hidden villages. It was built on the belief of the will of fire, a philosophy that taught everyone to care for one another like family and to work together with kindness and courage. Because of this belief, many inspiring stories were born, stories of people who protected their home with warm hearts and bright hope. On one gentle October night, 6 years ago, a child was born who would one day become a new legend. Her name was Naruko. Naruko was a cheerful little girl with bright blonde hair and curious blue eyes that sparkled like the sky after rain. But Naruko was not an ordinary child. On the night she was born, a powerful being known as the Nine-Tailed Fox appeared near the village. The event was frightening and sudden, and it left the village shaken. To protect everyone, the 4th Hokage, a brave and wise leader, sealed the spirit of the fox safely within newborn Naruko. He believed she would grow into a hero. However, not everyone understood this. Though no one spoke unkindly to her, many villagers kept their distance, unsure of what to think. As a result, Naruko often felt invisible, like a small cloud drifting alone in a wide sky. She grew up in an orphanage, where she was cared for kindly, but her heart longed for something more, a family to call her own. Every time visitors came looking to adopt a child, Naruko would stand tall, hopeful and smiling. She was clever, friendly, and full of energy. The caretaker often told her she was special. Still, day after day, no one chose her. Why does no one see me? She would wonder quietly. Around this time, something unusual began to happen in the village. The leaves on the trees seemed a little pale, and the flowers did not bloom as brightly as before, as if the village itself could feel a hidden sadness. At the center of Konoha, in a quiet office, sat the 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. He was a wise and gentle leader who cared deeply for every person in the village. As he gazed into his crystal ball, he thought about Naruko and the promise made long ago. "I wonder if I have done enough for her," he said softly. Behind him stood a loyal guardian, who simply replied, "There is always time to make things brighter." Hiruzen nodded thoughtfully. "Then tomorrow, I will spend time with her." The next day, Naruko's routine began as usual. She woke up early, got ready, and visited her favorite place, the library. She loved reading stories about Konoha's history and dreaming about becoming a great ninja one day. Suddenly, she heard her name. "Naruko," called a familiar voice. She hurried downstairs and was surprised to see the Hokage himself standing at the door, smiling warmly. "Would you like to take a walk with me today?" he asked. Naruko's face lit up like sunshine. After politely asking permission, she eagerly joined him. As they walked through the village, Hiruzen gently asked, "How have you been, Naruko?" "I'm okay," she said, though her voice was a little quiet. He smiled kindly. "Would you like to talk about it over lunch?" Naruko nodded. Soon, they arrived at a cozy ramen shop called Ichiraku Ramen. The moment Naruko tasted her first bowl of ramen, her eyes widened with delight. "This is amazing," she exclaimed, happily enjoying every bite. The shop owner, Tuchi, laughed warmly. "You're always welcome here, Naruko." Before she could respond, his daughter, Ayame, stepped forward with a bright smile. "Let's be friends," Ayame said, giving Naruko a gentle hug. Naruko froze for a moment in surprise. Then, slowly, she smiled wider than ever before. It was the first time someone her age had reached out to her like that. Her heart felt warm and full. "I'd like that," she said softly. Hiruzen watched the moment with quiet happiness. "Do you still want to become a ninja?" he asked. Naruko nodded confidently. "Yes. I want to grow strong so I can protect everyone, and my friends too. And one day, I want to become Hokage." Hiruzen chuckled kindly. "That sounds like a wonderful dream. Let's take the first step together." Naruko didn't say anything, but her joyful expression said everything. For the first time, she felt truly seen. At that very moment, something magical seemed to happen across Konoha. Trees grew greener, flowers bloomed brightly, and the village felt alive once more. Hiruzen looked around thoughtfully and smiled. "It seems," he said quietly, "that something wonderful has begun." And from that day on, Naruko's story was no longer one of loneliness, but of friendship, hope, and the beginning of a beautiful journey. Several months later. It had been a few months since Naruko started her new life. She had moved into her small but cozy apartment, met her sensei, and begun her journey to become the best shinobi she could be. In those 6 months, Naruko had met a few other children her age, friends she got along with even better than she had expected. Many of them came from well-known clans, yet unlike before, their families did not tell them to stay away from her. Among them were Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, Kiba Inuzuka, and a quiet, observant boy named Shino Aburame. Naruko felt closest to these four, though she had also met Ino Yamanaka and Sakura Haruno from time to time. Their meetings were brief, as Sakura's mother often called her away and Ino usually left with her own friend. Still, Naruko treasured every moment she spent with them. For the first time, her heart felt full. She was not the most popular girl in Konoha, but she had something far more important, friends who cared about her and enjoyed her company. Nearly every day after the academy, Naruko trained with her sensei at a quiet training ground. She knew him by his tiger mask and his short, spiky brown hair. To her, he was a very cool teacher, calm, thoughtful, and patient. He never rushed her, but he encouraged her to always try her best. Most of her training focused on chakra control. She practiced balancing leaves, walking up trees, and even stepping lightly across the surface of water. Her sensei wanted her to grow strong without pushing her too hard, especially since she was still so young. Yet Naruko had a special gift. Despite having a large amount of chakra, her control over it was already excellent. This surprised her sensei greatly, as such balance was quite rare. One day, he decided to test her elemental affinity. He handed Naruko a small piece of special chakra paper and explained what would happen when she channeled her chakra into it. Fire would burn it, water would soak it, earth would crumble it, lightning would crinkle it, and wind would split it in half. Naruko held the paper carefully and focused. The paper split cleanly down the middle. Then, something even more surprising happened. One half crumbled gently into dust, while the other became damp and soft. Naruko blinked in amazement. "Whoa! Tora-sensei, does that mean I have 3 affinities?" Her sensei paused for a moment, clearly impressed, but he nodded calmly. "Yes, Naruko. That is very rare and very special. I think, in time, I can teach you techniques for 2 of them. But first, you must learn how to control each element properly." Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. She took a small leaf and began practicing, trying to turn it into soil with her chakra. She focused carefully, though her attention wandered for a moment when she noticed a lone boy walking toward an empty part of the village. "Isn't that the Uchiha?" she asked softly. Her sensei nodded. "Yes. He has been through a great deal. It may be best to give him space for now." Naruko watched quietly, her expression thoughtful. "I hope he isn't too lonely," she said gently. "I don't like seeing anyone sad." Her sensei gave a small, understanding nod before reminding her to return to her training. Naruko quickly refocused and continued practicing for hours. Her progress was small, but steady, and she was proud of that. Later, after her sensei left, Naruko decided it was still early. Instead of going home, she headed toward the park, hoping to find her friends. At the Hokage's office. While Naruko laughed and played at the park, her sensei appeared before the Hokage to give his report. "She continues to surprise me," he said. "Her chakra control is remarkable. But today, I discovered something even more extraordinary." The Hokage leaned forward with interest. "And what might that be?" "She has 3 chakra natures: wind, water, and earth." For a moment, the Hokage was silent, clearly amazed. Then a warm smile spread across his face. "It seems Naruko is truly gifted." He remembered the first time he realized just how special she was, when she had shown signs of sensing others' feelings and presence. It had reminded him of a powerful ability once possessed by a remarkable kunoichi. Back at the park, Naruko soon found her friends gathered together. They greeted her cheerfully, and she happily joined them. As they talked, Naruko shared what she had learned from books about their clans. She spoke with enthusiasm, describing each clan's strengths and traditions. Her friends listened with surprise and admiration. Shikamaru watched her thoughtfully. Sometimes, Naruko seemed like a carefree, playful girl. Other times, she spoke with a depth of understanding that made her seem much older. Before he could ask more, Naruko suddenly dashed off, laughing as she challenged Kiba to a race. Kiba eagerly followed, with Akamaru bounding alongside him. Shikamaru lay back on the grass, gazing at the clouds. "There's plenty of time," he murmured. "No need to figure everything out today." Back at the Hokage's office. The Hokage looked into his crystal ball, watching Naruko and her friends with a gentle smile. "She seems happier now," he said softly. An Anbu standing nearby nodded. "Yes. And I'm glad for her." The Hokage folded his hands behind his back as he gazed out over the village. Naruko's journey was only just beginning, but already she was growing into someone truly special, kind, determined, and full of hope. And as the sun set over Konoha, it felt as though the future itself was smiling. Time skip, 4 years later, Naruko, age 10, nearly 11. A young, blonde-haired girl could be seen walking through the lively streets of Konoha, her steps light and full of energy. Her name was Naruko. She stood at a proud height for her age, about 4 feet 8 inches tall, and carried herself with a cheerful confidence that made people turn their heads with a smile. Naruko wore a sleeveless orange hoodie over a soft blue t-shirt, paired with matching blue shorts. Blue wristbands circled her wrists, and sturdy shinobi sandals tapped gently against the ground as she walked. On her face were 6 whisker-like marks, 3 on each cheek, that gave her a uniquely spirited appearance. Her bright blonde hair framed her face with 2 soft bangs, and her violet eyes shimmered with curiosity and determination. Many said she resembled the great 4th Hokage, though her eyes held a warmth all her own. It had been 4 years since Naruko began her journey to become the best ninja she could be. She took her training seriously, yet she never lost her sense of wonder. Every day was an opportunity to learn something new, to grow stronger, and to dream a little bigger. Her sensei, a skilled and thoughtful mentor named Tora, had guided her since she was 6 years old. From the very beginning, Naruko had shared her goal. She wanted to become a well-rounded shinobi, someone who could face any challenge with courage and skill. Tora believed in her deeply and often said that Naruko had a natural spark, especially when it came to ninjutsu. Naruko had discovered that her chakra reserves were unusually large for someone her age. It felt like having a vast ocean of energy inside her. At first, it was surprising, but with patience and practice, she learned to guide it carefully. While others might struggle with such power, Naruko seemed to balance it with a gentle focus, like guiding a river along its path. Tora taught her the basics of using tools like shuriken and kunai. Naruko practiced tirelessly, learning to throw them with care and precision. She wasn't perfect, but she improved every day, often hitting her target with a proud grin. As she grew older, her training included exercises to build her strength and speed. Naruko especially loved working on her speed. She had once read in a book, "The fastest shinobi is often the one who succeeds," and that idea stayed with her. She would race the wind through the training fields, imagining herself one day becoming even faster than her hero. In taijutsu, Naruko learned the basic forms taught at the academy. Though her sensei focused more on ninjutsu, she practiced the movements with creativity, adjusting them to suit her own style. Her approach was playful yet thoughtful, turning each lesson into something uniquely hers. Genjutsu was a bit trickier. Naruko found it difficult to create illusions, but she was very good at noticing them. It was like she could feel when something wasn't quite right, and with a bit of focus, she could gently unravel the illusion. She didn't mind that it took longer, she believed that every skill would come in time. Where Naruko truly shined was ninjutsu. She loved it. Learning new techniques felt like solving exciting puzzles. She mastered the basic academy techniques and even improved them with her growing control. Some techniques she could perform with just a single hand sign, and others flowed naturally without any at all. Earth-style techniques quickly became her favorite. She enjoyed shaping the ground, building protective walls, and even moving beneath the surface like a quiet traveler. Water-style techniques fascinated her too, swirling and flowing with graceful power. As for wind, she practiced adding it to her tools, imagining how it might one day become something even more amazing. Naruko was proud of what she had learned so far. She didn't need hundreds of techniques, she focused on understanding and mastering each one she had. To her, being a great ninja wasn't about knowing everything, it was about growing step by step, with heart and determination. 2 years ago, Naruko experienced something that changed how she saw herself and her journey. It wasn't something frightening or sad, it was simply surprising, like discovering a hidden door in a place she thought she already knew. As she walked through Konoha now, she smiled softly, her violet eyes shining with quiet excitement. Whatever that discovery had been, it had only made her stronger, kinder, and more determined than ever. And deep in her heart, Naruko knew that her story was just beginning. Flashback, 2 years ago, Naruko, age 8. The late afternoon sun shimmered across the quiet training ground as Naruko stood lightly on the surface of the water. She had been practicing there since she was 6, and now it felt like a second home. Gentle ripples spread beneath her feet as she focused, carefully shaping her chakra to stay balanced. Today, she had been working on her water techniques. Though her clothes were set neatly aside to keep them dry, her mind was fully on her training. She wanted to improve, not just for herself, but for something she couldn't quite put into words yet. As time passed, Naruko grew tired without realizing it. Normally, she was careful and stopped before her energy ran too low. But today, she was determined to get just a little better. Just one more try. When she reached inward for more chakra, something unexpected happened. Instead of the calm, steady energy she was used to, she felt something different, something vast and overwhelming. It wasn't painful, but it was powerful in a way that startled her. Her concentration broke instantly, and she stepped off the water, breathing quickly. Looking down, she noticed faint markings on her stomach, swirling gently before fading away like mist in the morning sun. Naruko blinked in confusion. A seal? She whispered softly. Questions filled her mind. Why was it there? What had she just felt? And why did it seem like it came from within her? From that day on, Naruko began searching for answers. A month later, after reading everything she could find, Naruko stood outside the Hokage's office. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. "Hey, Gigi," she said gently, offering a small smile. "Thanks for seeing me. I have some questions." The Hokage greeted her warmly, his eyes kind as always. "Of course, Naruko. What would you like to ask?" Naruko steadied herself. Her voice was calm, but serious. "Am I the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox?" The room grew quiet. The Hokage's expression softened, though it carried a weight of understanding. He asked how she had come to such a conclusion, and Naruko explained everything she had discovered, the markings, the strange chakra, and the way people sometimes treated her. When she finished, she looked down for a moment. "I just wanted to know the truth." The Hokage sighed gently, then smiled with quiet reassurance. "Yes, Naruko. You do carry the nine-tailed fox within you. But listen carefully, you are not the fox. You are yourself. Think of it like a scroll holding something important inside. The scroll doesn't become what it holds, it simply protects it." Naruko thought about that. Slowly, her shoulders relaxed. "So, I'm still me?" "Always," he said kindly. Her eyes brightened a little. "Then, why me?" "Because you were trusted," he replied. "You've been protecting the village since the day you were born, even if others don't realize it yet." Naruko was quiet for a moment, then asked softly, "What about my parents?" The Hokage's voice grew gentle. "They were wonderful people. Brave, kind, and strong. They cared deeply for this village. And for you. One day, when the time is right, you'll learn more about them." Naruko nodded, holding on to those words like a treasure. Then, after a moment, her usual spark returned. "Hey, Gigi. Wanna go watch the sunset?" Soon, they stood atop the Hokage monument, gazing out over the village. The sky was painted in soft oranges and pinks, and the rooftops below glowed warmly. Naruko sat quietly, taking it all in. "I want to protect this," she said at last. The Hokage looked at her. "Protect what?" "This feeling," she said, smiling gently. "This peaceful moment. I want everyone to feel safe and happy like this. That's why I'm going to become Hokage someday." Her voice was steady, filled with quiet determination. "I'll work hard, and I'll show everyone who I really am. I'll protect this village with everything I have. That's my promise." The Hokage watched her, deeply moved. In that moment, her spirit shone brightly, warm and unwavering, like a small flame that would one day light the whole village. "I believe you will," he said softly. Present day. Since that day, Naruko trained with renewed purpose. She still laughed, still made friends, and still enjoyed simple things, but beneath it all, she carried a strong resolve. At the academy, she didn't show everything she could do. She had learned that sometimes, patience and understanding were just as important as strength. One afternoon, after classes ended, she returned to her training ground. After warming up, she noticed her teacher approaching. "Hello, Naruko," her sensei said with a proud smile. "You've been doing very well. Today, I have something new for you to try." Naruko's eyes lit up. "A new jutsu?" Her sensei nodded. "Yes. A special kind of clone technique. It creates a real, physical copy of you." Excited, Naruko followed the instructions carefully. She practiced again and again, focusing with all her heart. Finally, after many attempts, something changed. A soft pull at the back of her neck faded as quickly as it came. Did it work? She wondered. "Turn around," her sensei said. Naruko did, and gasped. Standing behind her was herself. The two girls stared at each other, then smiled at the exact same time. "It's me," they said together. They laughed, amazed, and even began chatting like old friends. It felt natural, like looking into a mirror that could talk back. Her sensei chuckled. "Naruko, what you've done is very special." He explained that this wasn't an ordinary clone, it was a wood clone, a rare ability connected to a powerful and ancient lineage. Naruko's eyes widened. "Does that mean I have a clan?" Her sensei nodded. Joy bubbled up inside her. For the first time, she felt a connection to something bigger, a family she never knew she had. She twirled happily, and though she didn't notice, tiny flowers began to bloom beneath her feet, swaying gently as if sharing in her excitement. Her sensei smiled, then added kindly, "Keep practicing. With time, you'll perfect this technique." Naruko nodded eagerly. As the sun began to set once more, she stood in the quiet training ground, her heart full of hope. She wasn't just carrying a mystery anymore. She was discovering who she truly was. And step by step, she was growing into someone who would one day protect the happiness she cherished so deeply. Hokage Tower. The Hokage had been quietly observing Naruko through his crystal ball. As a small messenger creature slipped up from beneath the floorboards, he smiled gently and said, "So Naruko-chan has the Makuten, I see." "You don't seem surprised, Hokage-sama," the messenger replied. "Did you already know, even before you asked me to test her?" Hiruzen Sarutobi exhaled a soft puff of smoke from his pipe and nodded thoughtfully. "I have had my suspicions for a long time. When Naruko was very young, I noticed something unusual. When she felt sad, the plants around the village seemed to droop ever so slightly. And when she laughed or smiled, flowers bloomed brighter, and the trees swayed as if they were greeting her. I had only ever seen that kind of connection in one other person, Hashirama Senju." He paused, his eyes warm. "It comes from a deep bond with nature. I believed Naruko would awaken this ability one day. I simply wanted to wait until she was wise enough to understand it." The messenger nodded. "She is eager to learn. She also wishes to take on the name Senju, to honor that connection." Hiruzen smiled kindly. "That is a thoughtful choice. Names can carry hope, and Naruko has plenty of that. Perhaps, one day, Tsunade will hear of this and return. She would be glad to know her family spirit lives on." With that, the messenger slipped away, and the Hokage turned back to his desk, only to be greeted by a towering stack of paperwork. He chuckled softly. Even on peaceful days, duty never rests. The next day. Morning sunlight filled the village as Naruko hurried toward the academy, her bright jacket fluttering behind her. She was running late, her mind still buzzing from everything that had happened the day before, discovering her abilities, choosing her new name, and carefully sewing the Senju crest onto her clothes. She reached the classroom door and knocked quickly. "Come in," came a familiar voice. Naruko stepped inside, greeted by the watchful gaze of Iruka Umino. He crossed his arms, though there was a gentle kindness behind his expression. "Naruko, why are you late today?" She scratched the back of her head with a sheepish smile. "Sorry, Iruka-sensei. Yesterday was a really big day. I found out something important about myself." The classroom grew quiet as everyone listened. Naruko turned around, proudly showing the symbol on her back. "From now on, I'm Naruko Senju." A ripple of surprise spread through the room. Some students whispered, others blinked in amazement. Iruka carefully read a note from the Hokage and nodded. "It's true," he said calmly. "Naruko is recognized as part of the Senju clan." The room filled with excited chatter. "Wow, the Senju clan. That's amazing. Does that mean she has special abilities?" Amid the excitement, Sasuke Uchiha watched quietly, his curiosity growing. Nearby, Shikamaru Nara sighed softly. Troublesome, he murmured, though his eyes showed interest. Soon, it was time for practice exercises. Students paired up to test their skills in a friendly and controlled way. When Naruko stepped forward, Sasuke approached her. I'd like to practice with you, he said. Naruko grinned. Sure. Let's do our best. They both took their positions. The room fell silent as their classmates watched closely. At the signal, they moved. Sasuke stepped forward with quick, careful movements, testing Naruko's reactions. But Naruko moved lightly, almost like the breeze through leaves. She dodged gracefully, her focus calm and steady. She wasn't trying to win. She was simply learning, feeling the rhythm of her movements, listening to her surroundings, just like the trees she felt connected to. From the sidelines, Shikamaru spoke quietly, she's been holding back all this time. Shino Aburame nodded. Now she has something to protect and represent. Naruko stepped back lightly, smiling. You're really good, Sasuke. Sasuke gave a small nod. You too. The practice ended not with a winner, but with mutual respect. As the class settled down, Naruko looked out the window at the trees swaying gently in the breeze. She felt a quiet happiness inside her, like the village itself was cheering her on. For the first time, she felt not just like a student, but like someone growing into her own story, one kind step at a time. Back to the spar. Sasuke had been growing more and more frustrated. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't quite keep up with Naruko. She moved with a light, playful confidence that made it hard for him to land even a simple touch. Naruko, on the other hand, stayed calm and focused. When Sasuke stepped forward with a straightforward punch, she gently caught his wrist, surprising him. It felt like everything slowed down for a moment. Determined, Sasuke tried again, lifting his leg for a quick kick, but Naruko caught that too, steady and balanced. A small, bright grin spread across Naruko's face. Before Sasuke could react, she swept his leg in a smooth motion, and he landed softly on the mat. A moment later, she tapped his side just enough to show she had the advantage, sending him sliding back a little. The other students gasped in amazement. Naruko had never shown such skill before. She had always been good, but now, she seemed truly remarkable. Still, Sasuke wasn't ready to give up. He stood up, took a deep breath, and tried a clever trick, a feint followed by a quick step forward. But Naruko stayed one step ahead. With careful timing, she blocked his movement and gave 2 quick taps to his shoulders. Sasuke blinked in surprise, momentarily stunned by how fast she had been. Seeing this, Naruko gently ended the spar with a final, controlled move that made it clear the match was over. Silence filled the room for a second. Then whispers of amazement spread. Naruko stood there, cheerful as ever, as if nothing unusual had happened. But everyone could see it now, there was something special about her, something bright and full of promise. Sasuke looked at her, not upset, but determined. That moment had lit a spark inside him. He decided then that he would train harder than ever, not to compete out of pride, but to grow stronger, just like Naruko. Later that day. After the academy closed, Naruko stretched her arms and smiled. It was one of her lighter training days, which meant only one thing, ramen time. She hurried to her favorite spot, the cozy little ramen stand called Ichiraku. Pushing aside the curtain, she called out happily, "Hey, old man. 1 large miso ramen, please." Kyuchi looked up with a warm smile. "Ah, Naruko. My favorite customer. You look full of energy today." "I feel amazing," Naruko said, taking a seat. "I learned something big about myself." Ayame brought over her bowl, smiling kindly. "Oh? What is it, Naruko?" Naruko beamed. "First, Ayame, your ramen is the best in the whole world. It always makes my day brighter." Ayame laughed softly, a little shy but happy. "Thank you, Naruko. Now tell us your news." Naruko eagerly picked up her chopsticks. "I found out I belong to a clan, the Senju clan. Can you believe it? Naruko Senju. Future Hokage, and ramen expert. Believe it." Kyuchi and Ayame paused in surprise, exchanging a glance. The Senju clan was known throughout history for its greatness. Their cheerful Naruko. Part of that clan? While they were still thinking, Naruko happily finished her meal, then somehow another, and before long, she was waving goodbye, already heading out with a full stomach and a bright smile. Sometime later. As Naruko walked home, the evening air cool and gentle, she overheard someone nearby speaking quietly. "Did you hear? That girl is from the Senju clan. And she did really well at the academy today. Maybe she's just a kind kid trying her best." Naruko slowed for a moment, her smile softening. It was just one voice, but it meant something. For so long, she had wanted others to see her for who she truly was. And now, little by little, that was starting to happen. She looked up at the sky, feeling hopeful. Everyone starts somewhere. And Naruko knew, her journey was only just beginning. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now. I truly hope you found this video helpful, informative, or at least enjoyable in some way. Your support means a lot and keeps this journey going. If you liked what you saw, please take a moment to like the video, share it with others who might find it useful, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Feel free to leave your thoughts, suggestions, or questions in the comments section below. I always appreciate hearing from you and will do my best to respond. Thank you once again for your time and support. Regards. Six Path Weeb.